Welcome back to the third episode of the Five Talk. I'm Dylan. I'm here with Kyle and Ben. Let's get into it. Kyle, our resident Giants fan, let's hear your thoughts on the Matt Chapman signing.
So yeah, it's a good signing. It's an interesting one because they already have J.D. Davis at third, so it puts him in a weird spot. I'll get into that later, but it's a relatively cheap contract for what he was originally expecting going into free agency, with it being technically a one-year deal for $18 million with three options, one of which being $18 million, another being $17 million, and the last one being a mutual option for $20 million in 2027. So if you keep the guy for a year, 2 years, whatever it is, it's good. I mean, you're not giving up too much money. But what I really don't understand is what they're going to do with J.D. Davis. The guy was arguably their second best hitter last season. He started playing some first, but now you're going to have Wilmer Flores and Lamont Wade splitting it. You could say he's going to be at DH, but now you're not because they signed Jorge Soler. He's going to be their permanent DH for pretty much, unless he gets hurt, okay. But more than likely, I see them either trading him for prospects or just riding him on the bench. I don't know what they're gonna do, but it'll be interesting.
I mean, if you're a Giants fan, are you not like the happiest person on like the face of the planet right now?
You get the Bob Melvin and Matt Chapman reunion back in the Bay too.
I know they finally got a top like A-list player, or he's borderline A-list, but like a big name guy to come to San Francisco. Like Jorge Soler, good player, good power bat, but
Jorge Soler could be the first guy since Barry Bonds to hit 30 home runs. That's a solid signing.
Matt Chapman's a 4-time Gold Glover, Platinum Glove award winner, All-Star, like literally like one of the greatest defenders in the league currently.
Yeah. It's a great signing, I think. It's a weird contract structure, which is, 18 in the first year, and like 3 player options, and like a mutual. It's weird. I think he's going to probably decline if he. It depends how he plays. Obviously, it's like he's playing bad. He's going to accept those. I mean, if he plays good, he's probably going to opt out. We'll see what happens with that. He had declined a big contract offer from the Blue Jays previously. So compared to that, this is a lot smaller, which is a fuck up on his part. Yeah. But I think for the Giants, it's a good signing, competing in a tough division with the Dodgers, who spent over $1 billion in free agency. The Padres, they traded Soto, still have Tatis, and just a very good, solid team around them. And obviously the Diamondbacks, who were in the World Series and are the NL champs, who have a young core that is going to be good for a while. It's a very tough division, and the Giants are a team that are trying to compete.
That's the other thing, going back to his defense, between the Giants being one of the most ground ball heavy pitching staff, that adds to the defense, which was needed because while J.D. Davis started very hot from the defensive side at third base, he definitely dropped off there towards like the middle and later part of the season. So when you're getting a guy like Matt Chapman, who can be the best defender in baseball at times, it's gonna secure you outs compared to errors and guys getting on base.
Yeah, going back to what Dylan was saying about the Giants trying to compete, I don't know if they're necessarily trying to win a division right now. I mean,
make the playoffs.
It's a make the playoff situation. And also, I don't think the Giants' window is open yet. I think they're still on the come up, on the rise. Like, they have money to make moves, but they're not going to try and make that until a year or two down the road, probably.
It just depends on how seasons go. Like, if they're able to win 90 games, I don't see a reason. If they're on track to win 90 games, I should say, I don't see a reason why they shouldn't go out and make some sort of trade to try and get a guy at the trade deadline. Because if they can get in the wild card and get a guy at the trade deadline who can help them win some games, whether it's a pitcher or something, we'll get into pitching staff of the Giants later. But if they can get someone that's going to make them win a series or two in the playoffs, I don't see why not. And then following off seasons, spending even more money. Like, went out, got Jung Hoo Lee for, what was it, 7 years.
100 something mil.
Yeah, like, you've got him for a while. He'll only get better.
He's been looking really good in spring training too.
Yeah, he hit the
He's adjusting well to
120
major league
foot
pitching.
bomb. Yeah, he's looked good. So it'd be nice if their two games, back-to-back games, didn't get delayed to rain. Today and yesterday, Padres and Dodgers both delayed. But
And going back to the whole like free agent signing thing, many times it takes just like for players to sign, like
one
they need
guy.
another guy there. They can't just be the only guy in a situation. And like Giants have like historically are a well-run franchise. Like typically they have Jung Hoo Lee, Matt Chapman. If they can, get another big guy next offseason, like that really like propels them higher in the power rankings.
Yeah, like I agree with you. I think like the biggest issue with the Giants signing big name guys was their lack of like big name guys, like you said, like star players, and also I think the location isn't great. I don't think it's a place people like want to live in. It's kind of a shithole, as we know. Uh, some guys have like they've been in on every big free agent, but they've lost out so far. They've been talking with Shohei, talking with Yamamoto, lost out on those guys. They even tried to sign JD Martinez, and he said no, which is odd, as he still doesn't sign anywhere. So it's just got to be some sort of external factor, and I feel like it's got to be the location and just like the stigma around kind of living in San Francisco in the Bay.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about San Francisco is you can commute to it, so you don't have to live in downtown San Francisco. Like, suburbs are decent enough, or you can go live in one of the nicer areas around it. Like, obviously, it's still not the most ideal thing, whereas you can live in LA, which is a massive city, whereas San Francisco is not that big for it being a big city. So, like, but going back to free agents, possible tied to Giants, Blake Snell still has not signed. He wanted that long-term contract, say 7 years for over $200 million. He declined that deal from the Yankees, which was about 5-6 years, around that number. What's going on with him? We're into spring training. We're 2.5 weeks away from opening day. Nothing.
I
Cy
think
Young winner, and he still isn't signed.
Well, I think it's a big part is Boras. Boras in this year telling him he can get this big money, but realistically, teams aren't wanting to spend money these huge contracts on someone. How old is he? 30. He's like
I
30.
want to say he's like 30 or 31, probably.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's kind of crazy as a Cy Young. He's still got a couple years left in his prime, but at the same time, you don't want to commit. Like, let's say in like 3 years, he's going down like significantly. He's not playing great. Well, he's still have 4 years on a contract. We're paying him 20 to 30 million. I don't think teams want to commit to that. And a guy who's in his early 30s who's probably going to fall off in a couple of years.
That's the other thing with
Yeah,
his walk problems. Like, he's like, yeah, he won the Cy Young. Yes, he had a low ERA, but dude is averaging a walk and a half per. Like, no, it was like 2 walks a game. Like, his walks were. It's a problem. Like, yeah, he can get out of the jam, but that's not gonna stay consistent for the rest of his career. He can do it now, but 3-4 years down the line, when his velocity is gonna dip, his movement's not gonna be as good. Like, he's got nasty movement, but when the movement dips, he's not gonna be able to get the double plays that he got this past season and stuff like that. He's not gonna be the same pitcher from 5 years, which can only make it worse, especially if his control dips, making him walk even more than he already does.
I mean, I think the reason why Blake Snell has been tied to teams like the Yankees, teams like the Giants, is because both those teams already have big like ace caliber pitchers, like big guys who are already good in their rotation, but they want that extra like firepower behind them. Like the Giants have Logan Webb and Robbie Ray and Kyle Harrison. Like
That's
they're
it.
yeah, and that's it. But also, if they could add a Blake Snell, that would add some extra firepower because the guys that they have right now, they're almost more inning eaters, even though Logan Webb's super dominant. They're almost more like inning eater type pitchers where it's like they'll go deep into games. Blake Snell is more like a guy that can come out, give you 4 or 5 guaranteed of just like banging stuff,
Good.
and then after that it's like he usually runs out of steam or will be super high in pitch count and has to get pulled. So like it's perfect for the Giants because the Giants don't necessarily need a guy that has to go into the 7th because their bullpen's already super good.
I think he's still going to end up with San Francisco, especially now with the amount of injuries the Giants have had in the last 2 weeks to their starting rotation. Keaton Wynn was lined up to be probably the 5 starter of the season. He just had surgery. He's going to be out for a while. Sean Hageli was also possible for a 5th. He's going to be out for a while. There's one other I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it was Tristan Beck. I think he's hurt too. So it's the Giants. They need to have to, like, if they want to have any chance of winning games at the beginning of the season before they get Alex Cobb and Robbie Ray back. In my opinion, you have to go out and get Blake Snell. At this point, I don't care about the overpay. I'd prefer to keep it under 5 if possible, but if you have to, in order to sign the dude, do it. Like, put a buyout in the contract and get the dude, because you need a rotation of more than 3 people. Like, starting the opener this year, it's not going to work this season. Like, at least not as much as it did, because doing 60 games with an opener, especially if Logan Webb gets hurt too. That's the main thing. If Logan Webb and or Kyle Harrison get hurt, they don't have anybody else.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of depth for starters at all.
None.
Especially
there
like
is none.
yeah.
We're gonna put out off-season grades at some point here, and the Giants' ranking is like going to be very heavily dependent on if they can sign another solid starting pitcher. That's going to drastically sway how their offseason looks.
I mean, I think they've made some solid signings. I mean, like Soler, Chapman, Jung-Ho Lee. I mean, those are 3 good players. You know, those are guys who are going to be like great for this team this season. But that starting pitching is going to hurt them, I think. Or lack of starting pitching, I should say.
Speaking of electric starting pitching, Jordan Montgomery, another Boras client, still unsigned.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, he was a guy who's been linked to a lot of teams. I think he was thinking maybe like go back to the Rangers. It's kind of weird that like another Boras client isn't signed. These are him and Snell, 2 lefties. You know, lefties are usually pretty sought after in the starting pitching market. These guys, you haven't really heard too much from them. Like what's going to happen with them. It's kind of crazy.
I couldn't even tell you. I couldn't even begin to think of where he's going to go because I haven't heard anything. I haven't seen anything.
I heard like Rangers at the start of the season, and that's it.
Yeah, like there's been nothing with him. It's so hard to believe because he was so good last year and in the playoffs. He won a World Series as a 1 or 2 pitcher last season. Like,
yeah,
he's a top guy in a World Series winning team, and he doesn't even have a contract offer that we know of. And there's no talks around it. This has been one of the weirdest off seasons that I can think of, where you've got 2 elite left-handed pitchers who are unsigned a week and a half into spring training. Like, there's teams that need starting pitchers. What's happening?
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is like we're a week, 2 weeks into spring training almost at this point. So it's like this guy's. I mean, he's a vet. He's been around for a minute. He knows how to get himself ready. But it's like, if it goes much further, like, is he gonna have to be delayed to start the season? Is he gonna have to like have one of those starts where like he's pitch limited, like on day 2 of the opening like season? It's one of those things where we're getting to a point where decisions need to be made, and Boras is kind of fucking that up for some of these guys.
I mean, yeah, because we already saw that Matt Chapman. We assume he lost a lot of money, probably about $10 million a year. It's seeming like Blake Snell is going to lose at least the longevity of his contract. I don't know about the yearly average, but they're just losing a lot of money from what Boras was telling them. Like, that's why they haven't signed their contracts, because it was, you're going to get a long contract for X amount of money, and that's just not happening. It hasn't happened, and it's not going to this late in the offseason.
I mean, do you think the Giants possibly go after Montgomery also? I mean, like, maybe they don't get Snell, but they go for
one or the other.
Montgomery.
I see them preferring Snell, and if they don't get Snell, they might just sit back and let it happen. But yeah. I don't see the fit with Snell there.
Definitely going back to what I said about like Jordan Montgomery can go deep into games. Giants have a lot of inning eaters. I think they want that guy that can come out and just dominate for like 4 or 5 innings.
Get
like
you
I think Snell
early
is
in the game. That's what they
Snell
need.
fits the Giants' needs better.
Yeah.
That was a problem. They would
Yeah, it's just
deep
this
in
has
the
been
games.
a wild offseason. It's been like the two big guys signed first, Shohei and Yamamoto, and then it's just been nothing. Guys, I mean, Cody Bellinger just got re-signed a couple weeks ago. Chapman just signed. It's just been super stagnant. It's just the craziest free agency in years. And at the start, like everyone thought, it's gonna be like these guys are probably gonna sign. Everyone thought once Shohei signs, it's gonna install, the floodgates are gonna open, but it has. It's been like a slow kind of like drizzle.
I mean,
It's just
I kind of, for once, I agree with the commissioner. Put a deadline on stuff before spring training, like even before January, because it's too long. Like, I understand the negotiation for contracts. I wanted the money, but I mean, you're already making millions of dollars and all that, and teams aren't gonna be interested in signing a guy a week into spring training, because especially if they're not doing anything on their own, they're not gonna want a guy who's not gonna be able to come and throw 6 innings on opening day. If you can't do that, it's not ideal
yeah,
for any team.
yeah. It's just I don't know. I feel like putting in a place for like a deadline would be kind of tough because at the same time, like if teams just
It
wanted
would
to wait
take
it
a while.
out, like it'd be easy for teams to like wait it out almost for that though. If they really, it's kind of an interesting idea, but I'm not sure how it'd be implemented correctly. But with how this offseason has been, they might need to look into what possible ways to do that. Speaking of players you haven't signed that are also Boras' clients, JD Martinez. Like I said earlier, he had an offer from the Giants before they signed Soler, but he declined it. And, I mean, he's one of the best DHs last season. Still unsigned. What do you guys think is going to go?
Again, another guy I haven't heard a lot of stuff around. Like, I couldn't tell you like where I think he could go. I can't even think of the teams that are in such dire need of a DH this late in the free agency period. Like, at this point, it's just going to be a team that's willing to give him the money. Like, maybe an Angels, just because they need some
Yeah,
other
that's what I'm thinking. Maybe the
out.
Angels.
Like, it's not. I don't see him going to a top tier team anymore, just because all those teams are going to be like, no, it's too late, and we're not looking to change our roster now because we've set our roster for opening day. And this late into the period, you're going to mess the whole thing up, or we're going to have to get a man off the 40 that we were looking forward to seeing this season. So it's just a mess.
Yeah. I mean, he's another. It's just. I think teams are finally just done with Boras altogether. And they're just kind of like putting a stop to just letting him kind of do what he wants with them and forcing these contracts that they don't want to pay.
Yeah, I think, dude, Boris is like one of those things where in past years, Boris has had almost a monopoly on the big star market during the free agency, where he's had every single good player on the market. So it's like teams had to go deal with Boris, but as of this year, he hasn't had every single guy. He's had a large majority, but he hasn't had every single guy. So I think a lot of teams are starting to get to a point where they're just not wanting to deal with him anymore. They're just saying we can go get our needs somewhere else, whether that's through trade or free agency or something like that. So clients of Boras are now getting screwed over because they don't want to deal with Boris's whole philosophy of waiting and getting the most money possible and walking and doing all of that extra stuff, and Boris's whole philosophy that like teams just don't want to deal with it anymore, and that's really screwing over a lot of these people. Now, looking at JD Martinez, the only thing I can find on rumors is the Miami Marlins and having him rotate the DH spot with Josh Bell. The Miami Marlins have historically have had good power hitters, and they like those type of guys. But also, I don't think JD Martinez fits into where the Marlins should be going in the future. Marlins should be hitting a rebuild. They shouldn't be trying to sign a guy like JD Martinez.
Yeah.
And their starting pitching rotation right now is like not where it needs to be.
Sandy Alcantara's gone all season. Like,
right, they got Yuri Perez, but like they're not a team looking to compete, and I think JD Martinez like needs to be somewhere else, especially at this spot in his career where he can compete for playoffs.
I mean, it's so hard to predict him. I mean, like Angels, I'm looking up an article that says maybe like the Mets. I think the Blue Jays still could maybe use a good DH. It's just kind of like maybe one of those teams will sign him, but so like Kyle said, like, it's so late in, like, we're already in spring training. Like, you'd have to get rid of a guy on the 40-man to make room for him. It's just hard to see if teams, like, want to do this for him or not. Especially if he's seeking a 2-year deal, which seems to be one of the reasons he didn't sign with the Giants. He wanted a 2-year contract. But at this stage in his career, I don't see him getting a 2-year. I don't know if that's him wanting that or that's Boras saying you can get that, but I don't think he's going to get that.
Yeah. And going back to your thing where you have to get rid of somebody on the 40, I don't see that being a problem for teams. I mean, he hit 270 with 33 bombs. Like, teams are going to be like, oh, yeah, we can waive this AA player. Like, it's not going to be an issue.
It's not the problem with him being on the roster. It's like if they have a prospect that they wanted to be able to pull up midseason, especially if they're out of options. Because if the dude's out of options and he was on the 40-man, you can't just send him down anymore. You have to DFA him. And if he's a good prospect, another team's going to pick him up. Like, you're going to lose the guy that, say, you wanted to see this season. Like, especially if you're waiting for later in the year where you have to get rid of him on a 40-man, you're going to see, like, have him back up, especially if someone got hurt, where you're losing someone who's, say, 23 years old and hitting 275 in AAA, and you bring him up for a week in the majors to see how he does. You lose that, and another team brings him up, and he goes insane in the majors. It's like it's a win-lose. Like, yeah, you're getting one of the best hitters in baseball from the right side. He's going to be an all-star caliber player if he can play 100-plus games. But you're also losing the young aspect of your team for a guy that's going to be, 36?
Well, they don't necessarily have to DFA a young guy. It could be a veteran who's just fighting for a roster spot that they're maybe not thinking. I mean, who knows? There could be a guy who, like, they want to check. There could be some teams maybe waiting, saying, let's see how these guys do in spring training. If there's no one we really like, waive them and sign Martinez. I mean, who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, it's.
I think we should. I think moving away from Boras, though. Let's talk about these jerseys. Absolutely nuts, man. Ridiculous. Fanatics has fumbled the bag. Made the worst jerseys in all of sports, I think. It's god awful.
I think my favorite part about the whole Fanatics jersey is the Michael Chavis tweet. He put out a tweet that showed a picture of his jersey and said, like, expressed his displeasure with it. Want to know how Fanatics dealt with it? They replied to his tweet thinking he was a fan, saying, "Oops, it looks like we messed up. Please contact us at our support email."
That's crazy.
They're responding to a player's public tweet about it, saying they messed up. That's how bad the jerseys are. When they say they're bad, but the MLB is doing nothing, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. The pants are god-awful, too. Not only the jerseys are also thin, they look cheap. The jerseys are small. The letters are small.
Tiny.
The Dodgers logo looked funky. Like, it doesn't, like, go. It doesn't flow seamlessly anymore. Like, and the pants are see-through. Okay, like, I'm seeing, they're so thin, you're seeing these media day photos.
Schmidt,
there's a guy, you can see his nuts through the damn pants. And there's another guy.
Casey Schmidt mustache pick. Yeah, that one was rough.
There's this guy at the Padres, looks like a first base coach, bending over. You could see everything, man. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You can see the jerseys tucked in, and it's just like, the thing is, it's being made in the same factory that jerseys have been made in for, like, the past so many years. Like, it's same everything. It's just they decided to make it cheaper. The CEO came out and said, "We're getting roasted. This is not us. This is the Nike's told us to do it like this," which would be believable if it wasn't Fanatics, who's known for just cheap quality things. Like, everything through them is just terrible quality. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Really Ben, go ahead.
So I played junior college baseball. That's the lowest level of collegiate sports. Like, you have to finance all your own jerseys and everything. I'm 99% sure I have better quality jerseys for my team than the actual MLB has. Like, it's insane.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't heard anything from, like, anyone in the MLB about these jerseys. We've only heard from the CEO of Fanatics trying to defend himself. And he put, like I said, he put all the blame on Nike, saying this is how they want them. Apparently, these are the jerseys that we had for the All-Star game, which, I mean, I don't remember being able to see the dude's balls during the game, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. Like, I don't know. Maybe they're the same type of, the same, style, but, clearly the quality's worse because these jerseys suck. And the fact they haven't, done anything to fix it's crazy. These jerseys are, it's ridiculous. I don't even know. I think the Royals was the only team that, I think they fought for, to have the big lettering on their jerseys, which is, no other team has, which is just crazy.
One other thing I found funny. A picture day, I want to say it was for the Guardians, either Guardians or Twins. On the picture day, with the two different pictures for the same jersey, the striping on the sleeves was two different complete styles.
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
One was thick black with the white under it, and then the other one was a black with a white stripe in the middle and then black on the end of the jersey. On the picture day, media day, two different styles of sleeves, and it was two different players too, but also a player had two different types of piping on his sleeves.
It's the ridiculous.
Same jersey.
They need to recall the jerseys and go back to the old style. It's how it was. Jerseys have been fine. The MLB had some of the nicest jerseys in sports. And it's just ridiculous that we have these god-awful fucking jerseys right now. Hey, Ben, why don't you take it away, bro? Why don't you take it away, Ben?
All right. So, I'll be honest, I'm done with the jerseys. I want to move on to Mookie Betts playing shortstop for the LA Dodgers.
Well, as the resident Dodgers fan, I'm just going to slide in here. Gavin Lux, noodle arm. Early in the offseason, Robert said, this is our shortstop. It's Lux. Look, I've been a Lux fan since he was coming up. I remember he's the second-rate prospect in baseball. He's had some issues, but he's good. He's got a good bat. I think he tore his ACL or Achilles last season. Missed the whole year. Coming in, going to be our shortstop. I think he made 4 throwing errors in the last spring training game. So, we have Mookie Betts, who's a phenomenal defender. Gold Glove caliber player. He's gonna be our second baseman. They switched him. Mookie Betts, played right. He's got an arm. He can play shortstop. I think this makes sense. And I don't know. I think he's now the new best shortstop in baseball.
That's take.
That's diabolical.
We won't go deep into that.
Am I blanking on shortstops? Who else is there?
Corey Seager.
I'm taking Mookie Betts over Corey Seager, I think. I love Seager, but I'm taking Mookie Betts.
Wow.
We haven't seen Mookie play more than 2 games at short.
I also know that fucking Corey Seager. I mean, how was his defense last year, Seager? With the Dodgers, remember, he always had god-awful defense.
Very good.
He was in the Gold Glove conversation.
I don't know. Remember when the Dodgers, he had god-awful fucking defense. And he also, he also had Tommy John with the Dodgers as a shortstop, which is crazy as a shortstop having Tommy John.
We will be having our shortstop rankings coming out at some point. So
I don't know.
Watch for Dylan's number 1 overall ranking. See if Mookie Betts tops the list.
It's very tough. I love Seager, but I also love Mookie, man. There's a lot of conflict in me.
Trey Turner, Bo Bichette, Dansby.
Wander Franco would be there, but he's doing something else. I think if Wander Franco was playing, he'd been around that 13 spot maybe.
All right, buddy.
All right, that's enough. That's enough.
The nuts joke and the Wander Franco in the same episode. That's bad.
All right, guys. That's on me. Well, I think we're almost done here. Let's go a couple things. Jordan Montgomery to the Dodgers confirmed. He followed us on Instagram. Unfollowed the Rangers.
Oh yeah.
Joey Votto got a contract with his hometown Blue Jays.
I found it funny, all the posts he was saying, like, I miss baseball.
Yeah.
Like all depressed and stuff, dude.
He recreated that, like, Keanu Reeves photo where he's, like, sitting on the bench all depressed.
Yeah.
Dude's funny, but he's getting up there.
He's
old.
40.
Yeah.
He says, I saw an interview with him, like a day ago, or a day or two ago. He says he's coming off some, like, shoulder reconstruction that past year. Like, he's healthy enough to play, but he said he's wasn't 100%. So, we'll see if that is true. And maybe, just maybe, he might just be, like, 40 years old.
Joey
That might be
Votto
it.
revenge season? Revenge season, Joey Votto?
I would love to see a Votto revenge.
I can't see it happening. Dude's too. I saw something. I think it was today. He was talking with. I want to say it was Ben Verlander, and he was talking about the Field of Dreams game, about the all the traveling they had to do for it. Like he's saying, "Oh, I'm 40 years old. I need my 10 hours of sleep every night after a game." And he said he had to wake up, get 6 hours of sleep, and go on a bus for an hour, then go on a plane for 3 hours, go straight to the game. Then end the game, another bus ride, another plane. Like he said, he was like the sacrifice was worth it, but it was so taxing on him. And he was 38, 39. Like now he's 40 years old. Like
Bro lives in Canada now.
The traveling through it is gonna be rough. Like he's gonna have the most traveling out of pretty much any team in the league, being in Canada. So it's gonna be interesting to see if he actually makes it to the major league roster or not. I don't think it's gonna happen unless they have a major injury. But
I'm predicting Votto wins his second MVP, I think.
Revenge season, Joey Votto. Do you think they'll do oh yeah, Joey Votto night where Joey Votto's retiring, blah blah blah, bobblehead giveaway or something?
If he
Do you
announces
think that's the plan?
I mean,
what do you mean, Brad?
I was with him being from Canada, so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Remember when Freddie Freeman represented Canada in the World Baseball Classic? That was fun.
Thank you guys for listening to this episode of the 5ToolTalk. Since we've been a little MIA for the last month or 2 or 3 at this point, we're going to give you guys a quick look into the future of what's going to be coming in the next, hopefully, couple weeks. So obviously, we're hoping to get the uploads back to being consistent again now that the MLB season's ramping back up. We'll have more to talk about. Our socials are going to be getting a pretty big revamp. Hopefully starting up on TikTok, getting some stuff going on YouTube Reels.
I have a couple ideas on TikTok.
Instagram. There's going to be a lot of different content on TikTok between rankings, stuff like that. You'll see it in the future. For the next couple of episodes and coming in the next couple of weeks, we'll probably be getting into team previews, division previews, award predictions, maybe even getting into some position rankings. And lastly, is unconfirmed, but might be jumping into a college baseball side podcast on the channel with exclusive interviews with D1 college baseball players.
Oh my God!
So get ready for that. It's gonna be good. Be prepared. Subscribe. Thank you.